why did you decide to start a baking company at 13? It's a big jump to go from loving cookies to starting a company making it for others. Jonathan, thank you for joining this podcast. I'm really excited to talk with you. And for anyone watching or listening right now, I'd love it if you just start by sharing your journey. What led you to start Not Just Cookies, and what the entrepreneurial journey has been like for you as you've built this up?
Yeah. I started Not Just Cookies over 17 years ago as a teenager. I was 13 years old when I started in my mom's kitchen. I love baked goods, maybe a little too much. I love to eat cookies, but I have a passion for baking, and I had a strong desire to work at 13. And so, there was a lot of baking and cooking in my family. And so that's how I started. My mom's kitchen, sent out letters to friends and family, and the business grew by word of mouth. When I became an adult, about 19 years old, I decided to move to Chicago to grow and to scale the business. And we did more of the traditional bakery route, opened up a retail store, participated in lots of farmers market, and we had growth. There were ups and downs, like many businesses. And that was great. And we were one of the first businesses to gain approval to sell in the Daily Center pet wings, which was a great accomplishment for us. But when the pandemic hit, as horrible as that time was for many people and businesses, we were figuring out what to do. But we actually did a complete pivot, and we actually started a whole new bakery, a whole new wholesale bakery that focused more on obviously wholesale catering. And we also found our sweet spot from just customer requests, and we started co-packing and private labeling for smaller brands. There's a lot of large co-packers out there, but there's very few that cater to smaller brands, startups, and smaller CPG brands. And so during that time frame, that's how we sort of started this Not Just Cookies wholesale bakery. And it was very, very organic. And, we've been getting lots of traction, the past few years, but I've been in this world for a long time, but it's been very rewarding, and I have learned so much, and it has been a crazy, fun, exciting, and sometimes exhausting journey.
That is absolutely amazing. Now, why did you decide to start a cookie company, or more a baking company at 13? It's a big jump to go from loving cookies to starting a company making it for others.
My mom always said I was a very sort of peculiar child. But you know what? I really, really wanted to work at 13. And at the time, this was back in 2006. It wasn't that easy to get a job. If you were under 18 or 16, you needed work permits and things like that. And I tried other things. I tried mowing lawns and shoveling leaves, and all of that didn't work out. But I love cookies, and it just sort of came, hey, I can sell these cookies. And so that's really, really sort of what motivated me. I just love to earn money and make money. And I would always do little weird things, but the cookies is what really, really helped me make real money to me at the age of 13.
One of the reasons we connected is that I know that you're a strong proponent of capitalism. And I'm curious what capitalism means for you and how you came to be an advocate for capitalism. Was that something you believed before you started the business at 13, or something that you learned as you were building this up?
Yeah, it was definitely something that I learned, as I was building the business. And, I was just exposed to a lot of entrepreneurs and folks who have been, in different businesses. And I learned more about capitalism and just the benefits of it. And, I was just a sort of, I guess, a walking example of it that I really didn't know, just starting your own business, creating, whether it be small little jobs, generating income, supporting the economy, whether it be in a small or large way. So it was very, very natural. But as I got older, I started to learn more about capitalism and just how important it is, and how really, I do a lot of stuff in advocacy and politics. And so I think about it from that lens, and just how important it is for, just in the development of our country. And it's really a cool thing. I think, as the bakery started to grow, just being able to, one, work for myself, but two, being able to provide jobs for others was a very, very sort of powerful thing in my mind. It was something that I got lots of gratitude in. So it's just so many, when you say capitalism, it's a big word, but to me, it's a lot involved in it. And yeah, it's incredible. It's pretty incredible.
And how many employees do you have now talking about job creation? And say a little bit more about just what you feel in creating these jobs and opportunities for other people, both from how you feel personally, from the impact on their lives, but the responsibility you feel with that too.
Yeah, so we have 7, and then we have a lot of on-call employees as we need for larger orders. I think one of the things, this industry is kind of weird because I'm in like the food industry, and we do use a little bit of technology. We sell cookies online, and then we have a lot of wholesale customers. But this industry, one, is very, very competitive, and the jobs in this industry are not necessarily the highest paying jobs. And so one of the things that I started to do, especially in this new bakery, was really look at how we can, one, be more profitable, but two, how we can sort of change the status quo in this industry. So how we can be a lot more competitive in paying our employees higher wages. And so that's one of the things that we sort of do, and especially just looking at it through a capitalism lens. That's just something that is important to me, and it's something that we've been able to do in this newer bakery, where we're focusing more on wholesale. There's, I'm more experienced, so I know how to really try to focus a lot more on the profitability. So we have the revenue and the profitability to do that.
And I should have asked this before, before we get into any of your other lessons as an entrepreneur. You started this when you were 13. You still are really young at this, it seems, but you've got a lot of experience from starting that early. How old are you?
I'm 31. Yeah, I'm 31 now. So, gosh, that's 17, 18 years now. Yeah, I'm horrible at math, but yeah.
So, you look really young for that age, but 17, 18 years at this. What are some of the biggest lessons that you've taken away from your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. I would say, being a teenage entrepreneur, I want to say you have a big head, but you know so little. And I think one big lesson that I would take away is just reach out and ask for help, because, that's one of the things that, obviously in hindsight, I wish I would have done more, is really reach out and seek a lot more support, because there was a lot of mistakes that could have been avoided. I think that is one big lesson. There's there's so many lessons that I've learned over the years. Man, I think another thing, when I started very young, was I was always just chasing revenue at whatever cost it may be. But I learned a hard lesson when we were spending more money than we were generating revenue, and that's when I really started to focus on profitability. Is it going to make money? So really, not just chasing revenue, because not every single order is a good order. Not every single client is a good client. And I think as I've gotten older, that's something that I've realized. And then now too, as I've gotten older, I've just realized just to sort of just enjoy this, what I mean? Just enjoy the process. And, being a very young entrepreneur, you're in your head, you're running around, but just enjoying it. You know what I mean? You have good days, you have bad days, but I'm really just enjoying it now. And that's a lesson that I've learned, because there's some times, especially when we weren't that profitable, where it was just not that fun at all. But so many lessons. So many lessons.
Building what you just said, entrepreneurship really is the perfect illustration of the old mantra that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. You have to really enjoy the entrepreneurial journey to stick with it and be successful, because it's so difficult. So you shared a few key lessons there. What would be the number one piece of advice that you would give to any other young entrepreneurs starting out right now who want to take action after hearing your story?
Yeah. I think the one piece of advice, I think now we have access to so much information, and there's so many resources available, and it's hard to sort of uh, filter through all of that. But I think one big thing, or sort of a combination of two, would be really, really sort of protect your focus. Get sort of very clear on what you want to do, because there's going to be tons of distractions, and there's so many different ways that you can get to a destination. And one way may be better for you, but it may not be the best. So I would say really, really try to protect your focus. And I would say the biggest one would be, be transparent and get good advice and good help, because there's so many people who, have supported me throughout this journey. And you know what I mean? And I just, as a young entrepreneur, you try to do so much by yourself. And like I said, I'm grateful for those who did, but really, really find good support, whether it be mentors or coaches. And I think to being very, very transparent, as I've grown in this sort of entrepreneurial world, and just I've heard stories from other entrepreneurs, it's just like, my goodness, we've all had really, really incredible stories, and some, we've went through so many. And so it's just okay to be transparent, because you're really not alone. So, but I think in the startup phase, you're very excited about it. So I would say really seek good advice and really, really sort of protect your focus.
You just mentioned you heard stories from other entrepreneurs. I'd love to get a story from you to share of how you made it through some of those challenging times, either when you weren't getting the revenue that you wanted, or you weren't sure what the purpose was, or when you realized you needed to control costs to get the profitability. Just what's an illustration of some of these lessons, a story of what you've been through?
Yeah, I would say, actually, sort of right before the pandemic, I was, chasing revenue. I want to say maybe around 2018, 2019. We're so big on, growing and scaling and all of that, but we just weren't profitable that year. And, the business during that time was my livelihood. So the money that came in from that business is how I supported myself and supported my living conditions. So it was, we're not making any money. It affected, my personal finances, which obviously a lot of entrepreneurs get, our business, they're all tied together. But I would say that time was so incredibly difficult, just because there's a lot of stuff just in my head, in terms of, we're losing money. How are we, we weren't solvent, and, how are we going to, pay these bills? How are we going to pay employees? How are we going to pay our rent? How am I going to pay my bills, personally? And it was such a big burden. And that was a time that I wished I had just really, my family was there, just leaned on a little bit more to folks during that time. But I waited until I couldn't take any longer, when I had reached out to family and friends and say, hey, this is what's going on. And to my amazement, it was just so incredible and inspiring, just, how people had supported and rallied behind me. It was just really, really inspiring and encouraging. But boy, it was, over the course of months, it just kept building up, and, I was taking on expensive debt, trying to, stay afloat. So it was a very, very, very tough time. But I will tell you, I learned so much during that time. It was very inspiring, after we got out of that, just to see how supportive friends and family were. And I learned a lot, and it really did change me, just the way I do business. It was a tough lesson. And I can't articulate what it was like, but it really was like a little bit of hell, throughout those months. That's really what it was like. But in the end, the silver lining is I learned so much. It sort of fostered even stronger relationships with friends and family. And it was just really inspiring, just to see how many people were supporting me in the bakery to get us through that trying time.
I think that is incredible. And what you just said there, that so many people were helping you get through that trying time. Who were they? What were they doing to help you through those?
Yeah, some of my cousins, they own, they have an architecture firm in Columbus and some offices around. And, we weren't really that close, but I had reached out to them and let them know. And they were just super, super supportive. And They ended up, supporting the business financially just to help with that, with loans. Some other, extended family, I mean, just, and they got involved. They didn't just say, here's a check, but they got involved and said, let's help you, you know what I mean? And we went through things. They connected me to other people just to get me out of that, and also to create a path forward. But it was quite a few people, it wasn't, like I said, I was trying to handle it all myself initially, and then it just came crashing down. But for the most part, it was really incredible. And people helped in whatever way they could, I mean, it wasn't just, here's a check, I mean, just support, what I mean? Just in small ways. And like I said, some of my family in larger ways, but I will tell you, it was really, really incredible just to see what people would do to support in whatever capacity they could. And I think that was what was so incredible. Like I said, not everybody can necessarily cut a check, but they can connect me. They can sit down and say, let's, it was just really good to see people be supportive through what felt like such a horrible time, for me, during that year of just burning through cash and trying to hustle. So it really was incredible. I mean, for the most part, like, I didn't reach out to everybody, but the folks that I did, family and friends, they really stepped forward. And like I said, it really inspired me. It was very touching. It really was.
And that's one of the amazing things in business. It's all about working with other people. And if you're the kind of person that people want to support, or you have the kind of business that people want to see continue, they help you through those difficult times. And it's amazing where you're at now, especially having gone through those challenges during COVID. And I'm curious, what's up next for Not Just Cookies? What are you working on that you're super excited about?
Yeah, so we're moving into a larger space, and we're going to get more equipment so that we can produce different types of cookies, like the ones with the shapes and the lines and the shortbread cookies, and it's going to increase our capacity a lot. And so we're super excited about that, because we just haven't been in a space like this. We can hammer out lots of cookies. I mean, like, we can hammer out, I think we had one order where we hammered out 80,000 cookies within 3 days, just with our ovens and doing a lot of hand scooping. But with this new equipment, we're going to be able to be more efficient and more competitive. So I'm super excited about the new space. And also we're working with hopefully 2 new clients that are just going to really, really increase our revenue, which is super exciting, just from 2 clients. So it's really, really exciting just how we pivoted from a traditional to a wholesale bakery, but it's pretty cool. It's like each day is really exciting now. You just never know who's going to call and want a whole bunch of cookies. But yeah, the new commercial space, I would say, is our big thing that we're looking at moving into next month.
Johnathon, congratulations. This is really exciting. I'm so happy for you getting through the challenging time and expanding the business. Before we wrap up, is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to share right now?
No, like I said, I'm just glad that we were connected, especially just being as an entrepreneur myself, and everything that you're doing with principal businesses and Liberty Ventures. But nothing that I want to add, but just super excited to be connected and to be a part of the upcoming accelerator program as well.
Well, I'm excited to have you a part of the network and get to work with you, Johnathon. Really, thank you for everything you're doing, running a principal business, being a principal business leader, and doing the heroic work of entrepreneurship.
Thank you. No, thank you, Alexander. I really appreciate it.